All right, so we'll go into the roll call, start the meeting. Joe Dela Cruz, Vice Chair.
Jake Dunnigan, Commissioner.
We have public communications. I haven't received anything, and I do want to state that the President, Rob Boris, is not here today. Had something with the family, and we wish him the best, and hopefully everything's good tonight. Any public communications? No. Okay. All right. Now we need approval of the minutes. Everyone got those emailed to them by Laura.
I'll make a motion.
Motion. Do a second. All right. Motion is seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving along. That passes 3-0. Old business. Business outreach, calendar and communications. I would say would ask Jake to maybe talk about that.
So for outreach, we had a little bit of a difficulty setting up the meeting. I think just with schedules this month, but the plan going forward is we've narrowed down using the publicly available data who the downtown Groton property owners are, and I think that's our next big strike is to go after the 84 of those owners that are here in Connecticut, either through the mail or in person. And I'm going to distribute that list out to people if they already know some of them. So.
All right. Any other business outreach, old business? Nope. All right. New business, 2024 special events and outreach opportunities. I don't know, Paige.
Well, tomorrow they're doing the state of the town, right?
Right. That's the one. Yeah, state of the state, over in Stonington. Stonington side of Mystic. It's 7:30 in the morning. I think it's at the Hilton and Eastern Chamber of Commerce. Event they probably sell tickets available.
We have a young member. Hopefully you can hear them in the meeting. So we said we want to bring youth to this meeting, and I think we've accomplished that we did. We got it done. And then we have reports. Chair is not here today, as mentioned. As vice chair, I would just say that we did attempt to have a breakfast earlier this week, but it was on Good Friday, and they weren't open. But we'll get another chance to go to Bridge Market. I'm sure everyone out there knows who they are. They're pretty much a pillar in the community, so we wanted to go back and introduce ourselves to them as a group. And then the month before we went to actually Norms. So, and I'm sure we'll be able to redo that. Any report? Okay, great. Anything to report?
I just want to mention that George Mathanol is on the Zoom. Just join the call.
Hello, good evening, all.
Welcome, George. Welcome.
Do we have a name for the newest member?
He's very, very active member.
He is.
So I did do outreach to several businesses, and then this past week I set up the LinkedIn for the committee members. I'll distribute that around. You probably got an invite from account you had never heard of before, but we've got 6 followers now. So
On our way.
yeah, on our way. Next week I'm hoping to build it a little bit more so that we can use that on the business side to do some more outreach. I know that Facebook's more your deal.
Yeah.
That
I do have a LinkedIn. Did you invite me? You found me on LinkedIn also?
I have not yet, but we
Okay.
can talk about that after. Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
Oh my God, you running?
I'm vice chair. Are you gonna? All right. Someone lock that door. So. All right, Leanne Aubrey has joined the meeting. And then we have a staff report.
Sure. You have a copy of the written report in your packet. Like always, some of these projects, they go month to month. the Small Business Pivot Grant, we have 8 agreements that we have finalized, that we're working with and finalizing with local businesses. We still will have additional funding after this round. The first round we basically had a deadline, and the maximum award is $5,000. We will have a balance. I don't know exactly, but we probably have a balance in excess of 50,000. So we'll have a subsequent round. We haven't finalized this yet, but we're thinking about doing it more on a rolling deadline pattern. So as you're dealing with businesses in the community, and if they have certain needs, definitely have them contact us. We would like to walk them through it. In short, basically, it's not for operating. The name Pivot is to make them more resilient. It came out of COVID. So some of these businesses, maybe they didn't have a great marketing plan. Maybe their business needed a facade improvement, or they needed a one-time expense to make them better than they were before. That's the type of item that we're looking to fund. We're not looking to fund someone's payroll, for example. That's not going to be something we're interested in, but something that would make that business better. So any businesses that you are aware of, or if any of them are listening to this after the fact, certainly have them reach out and speak to us.
Are those businesses now, ones that have been established here, or some of them just new that have come in? What's the criteria, just so if anyone's out
Yeah,
there?
it has to be an established business. I believe they have to have operated in Groton for a minimum of 1 year.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
And there are, of course, other requirements. We want to make sure they have an address, that they're in good standing with the state, and things like that. But, businesses, they have that documentation. It's not an arduous process. It is a reimbursable grant. So, although we advised individuals ahead of time, afterwards they were a little surprised. Oh, I have to spend my own money first. It is, but once we're provided the documentation, like a canceled check that you actually made the payment for something, we can turn that around and get them reimbursed pretty quickly.
Yep. That's great.
Community Challenge Grant, that is a big, large undertaking. The management and dealing with the state that we're in the middle of right now is $6.4 million, dealing with DECD. Sometimes it's easier to get the grant than to actually administer and implement, and we're kind of in the beginning stages of that implementation now. But it was one of the largest awards in the state for that program, and we're eager to jumpstart that. March 13th, the 6.4 million. There are multiple components. One is to build 51 new affordable units at Grasso Gardens. And then the rest of it, basically consider it more municipal community improvements. One will be to make significant improvements to the boardwalk on Pequannock, make sidewalk improvements, bikeway improvements, and then we hope to get a walkway that will cross Pequannock River as well. So roughly 2/3 of the money goes for housing, and maybe 1/3 for the community improvements. 51. Yeah, 51 units. That's, by the way, those 51 units at Grasso Gardens, that's in addition to the units they have. You may see soon, they're basically going to be totally reworking the existing units at Grasso Gardens. They're going to be basically brand new units.
Thank you.
So they're going to do that project, but then they'll also build 51 new units with this grant funding. All right. Yeah, sure. That's a can of worms.
For $6.4 million, you can have two.
Actually, good segue. Due to Leanne's efforts, we had a pretty successful meeting on March 21st. I call it the Connecticut Commercial Realtors Group. Is there a formal name for that? Oh, good. I got lucky.
Then the rest of what you said.
All right.
Is your mic's on, right, Leanne? Oh, there you go.
Hello. Yes, it's ECA and it's the commercial division. ECA standing for Eastern Connecticut Association of Realtors.
Okay.
So that's what people you had here.
So we had that meeting on March 21st. Robert Boris basically represented the EDC at that meeting. We had economic and planning staff, and sector was really the speaker. People wanted to know, what is sector? What do they represent? What can they do for us? What kind of financing and resources are available? So RT Brown, he's Director of Economic Strategies, I think that's his title for sector. He did a great presentation. And I think the most important thing, feel free, Leanne, to add, the most important thing was the amount of conversation and dialogue that occurred in the tail end. It became obvious that the realtors really wanted to be proactive in helping with economic development education, trying to advocate the benefits of positive growth in communities. That was a theme that resonated well with sector and economic development staff as well. Was that your sentiment as well?
The other thing I might mention is they were amazed by the programs that Groton offers. Because we have realtors from all over New London County and further. And most towns don't do as much as we do as far as program availability, small sums of money available and et cetera. And so they were very attuned to what we were able to share with them about what we do here in Groton,
Good.
which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Would love to carry on more conversations with that group. I'm hoping you can help facilitate that. Great. Speaking of conversations, the Office of Planning and Development Services, they have had these talking series, these conversations that have been going on, and it's the kind of a precursor to launching the update to the Plan of Conservation and Development, getting people talking about some of the challenges, some of the needs. So the first one dealt with demographics and how demographic changes influence a local community and future market demand. The last one they had was on March 28th at the Marine Science Magnet School, and we dealt more with the future of Groton with a high emphasis on the Plan of Conservation and Development and how changes would take place through regulatory and planning system. The next one, for your information, will be April 25th, and that will focus on housing. Big topic, and it starts at 5:45. It's at the Community Baptist Church, which is 950 Gold Star Highway. Um, Mike Goman from Goman in York will be the presenter. He's an exceptional presenter, loaded, chock full of information. That is one you do not want to miss. I am confident that that'll be quite a learning experience.
On April 25th?
Yes,
Okay.
5:45, April 25th. It is the Community Baptist Church. Just moving down the line, we still have ARPA agreements that we're finalizing. We're getting towards the end of those agreements, and some of those projects have closed out already. That also works on a reimbursement basis, so we'll see some of those wind down over the next year. Pretty exciting news, our vacant economic development specialist position has been filled. And the individual's name is Corinne Piazza, and she's originally from Connecticut, has been targeted return home. She currently works in the Salt Lake City area, dealing with economic development and also redevelopment. And we had several candidates, and I knew she was targeting this area. We were fortunate to be able to connect with her, and she made it to the top of the list and accepted our offer. So by the end of April, she'll be around, and looking forward to introducing her.
Great.
In terms of public property redevelopment, Groton Heights, there was a public hearing that the town council held to talk about that project. I will also say on Tuesday night's cow meeting, this upcoming Tuesday, there will be a referral dealing with a draft RFP that will be provided to the council to kick off that conversation. Obviously, we're eager to move that process forward, but there's been significant conversation, and the council ultimately has to approve it before it's released. Gold Star Highway 529, we're going to receive plans pretty soon from Orr Partners. That's going to be a sizable multifamily that's been on my report for a while, but the time is ticking for them, and they're going to be fast tracking that project. So you're going to hear more about that pretty soon. Yes, and it abuts the former Chautauqua Plumbing. Yes, thanks. Right. Triton Square, I think everyone can see that as they're driving by the former Sealy School. You can see pretty sizable development going on. Colonel Ledyard still moving along on that. He has permits for the gymnasium section, which they're working on now. Former Pleasant Valley School, kind of the same track as Groton Heights. There was the March 5th public hearing, and this coming Tuesday night is another referral where we're providing a draft RFP to the cow. Hopefully they can move that along in a timely manner. I think that's pretty much my full report, unless anyone has any questions.
No, that's good, good page.
All right, we have our liaison reports. You want to come up from the Navy base? I'm going to give you this. You want to bring a chair up? Okay. So this whatever.
Yeah, the chair's here. Doesn't matter. So the first thing I'll announce, USS Indiana took part in the annual ice camp exercises up at the North Pole, which I always find pretty interesting. A very cool exercise. Pardon the pun. It's always pretty interesting. They go up there and pop through the ice somewhere, and they have a big camp, and to try out all the cold weather equipment, and it's very interesting. They've been doing this for years, really since they've had nuclear submarines. And obviously before that even, but couldn't do it back in the day of the diesels because they couldn't stay under long enough to get there.
Yeah.
Because they had to come up to get air, and they couldn't do it. And, they didn't have the guarantee to be able to make it through. So, but now of course they could do it. So pretty neat. Had a big pinning ceremony with the fire department. They pinned 14 new firefighters and a new fire inspector. Now, of course, they didn't all get hired at once. It was over a period of time, but we've been short firefighters for a while. Just it's, like everything else, it's been hard getting them on board through the process and everything. And I guess they made some changes with the way we did some hiring. And over the last year, we were able to hire a lot of new firefighters, and they finally got around to doing the ceremony. And it was really pretty neat that they got 14 new firefighters on board. We got a pin that night. They've been, a lot of them were on board, quite a bit before that. But the interesting thing that also happened that night, and actually, which just culminated here a couple of days ago, was that our chief, Tommy Clapsaddle, retired, who was with the fire service on base for 35 years, which is crazy. The captain had everybody, he had all the, we had one of our morning meetings up at the firehouse. I think it was last week, and he had everybody, all the fighters in there. And he had all the firefighters that were born, or that all the firefighters that weren't around in 1989 raised their hand. And a good number of them did. And then he said, all of you that raised your hand, that's when you weren't around as long as chief was here in this firehouse. He was at that firehouse longer than they've been alive. So it was really, really amazing. Really, really cool. So we wish him great success in his retirement. He started as a very basic firefighter and worked his way all the way up through. So that's really neat. Had a nice little ceremony for the Vietnam War veterans at the Navy Exchange there at the little small lobby that they have there. It was kind of nice. And one thing to just announce, toward the middle and the end of this month, we're going to be doing some major repairs to a large pipe that runs under our main gate there, gate 1, down by the museum. And because of that, our outgoing traffic at that gate is going to be closed for a good part of that period. So we're going to be, most of the outgoing traffic is going to be using our gate 5, which is the gate that's just north of Ohio Avenue off Route 12, which is not normally used. So there'll probably be some confused folks, why is this light being used? And, why are people coming out of there? So just be cautious as you drive through there. Expect a little confusion, maybe a little traffic where there normally isn't any. Our main gate will still be able to let traffic in, but it's just the outgoing will have to go either through gate 5 or through the north gate up into Ledger. So that's excuse me?
Who's doing?
I'm sorry.
I don't think I'm supposed to ask questions, but
That's okay.
who's doing the repair work? Is that a town project? Is that a Navy
It's
project?
a Navy project, and we actually contracted through the Connecticut DOT with our intergovernmental support agreement. And it's a company that they work with, and they're actually relining the pipe. It's a 6-foot round pipe. You can actually walk through this pipe. And it takes all the water that runs. If you drive by the base, you'll see the swale in the front of the base. It runs all the way down. All that water flows down to Crystal Lake, and then it enters a pipe. It flows down basically beside Crystal Lake Road and catches some water from the base from Crystal Lake Road. And it all goes right down there and right underneath our gate and through the museum and out to the river. And the pipe's just, 50 years old, and it's just the bottom of it's all rotting out, and it's taking the dirt with it, and it's causing, as the dirt leaves, it starts collapsing down from the top, and it's causing sinkholes. And so now they have this neat new process. They went and they cleaned the pipe all out, and they put this flexible fiberglass liner in the pipe, and they put I think it's like an infrared light bulb in there, and it cures it. And it's like a 50-year guarantee, like basically a permanent fix.
Yeah,
And they do it in like a day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of prep work beforehand, but the actual repair is done in like a day. And it's costing us like $230,000, which sounds like a lot, but to replace that pipe would have been like $2 million.
Yeah.
So huge savings in a relatively small disruption. So we're real happy that the DOT turned us on to that service. So we're having that done. I guess while we're on construction projects, the budget finally got approved. So our Pier 31 project's gonna go out to bid and get awarded this fiscal year. So hopefully that'll be starting probably the beginning of the next fiscal year. So maybe the end of this year, but probably the beginning of next year, next spring. So that's a big one. And also our weapons compound is gonna get recapitalized hopefully as well, barring any engineering hiccups. So that's happening. Lots of neat stuff happening, so we're excited.
That's right.
Great.
Any other liaison reports?
We're waiting for the budget.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did I say anything in between?
No, you were good.
You may have. We forgive you.
Bleep it out.
The RTM is just waiting for the budget to come to us to begin to work on it. And hopefully we can be strong in our approach to it this year. Nothing other than that too exciting that's happening right now. But next month we'll have a lot for you.
Well, we wish you luck with the budget. We know it's a long process, so
It is.
Yeah.
Gotta be tough though.
I know, not gonna be an easy year from what I hear.
No.
Yeah.
no.
Seems like a lot of towns are dealing with that too, so it's not us alone. In other business, I just want to mention, I think before I got here, I spoke with Paige and mentioned the Five Corners, and I know you hadn't seen it, but I think, and whether you're for development, not for development, but I think we have to really take into account when folks come from the outside and develop property. They're only interested in ROI, and we're interested in seeing what happens in places, and somehow those things have to always work together. I think there was a project that we may have missed opportunity on because that property looks like it's getting broken up and then putting the houses back on the market as individual sales, which will mean Five Corners will probably look a lot like it looks maybe 50 years from now. And they're homes, and maybe someone will buy them and fix them up. But there were some opportunities that, and again, I'm not saying one way or the other what was good or bad. Just think, when developers come in, that we have to really take them at their word sometimes, that, the size of what the building has to look like and to make it efficient. And I know it's hard to do, I think, for people, we think that we have this big control over what happens as a citizen. Like you want to see something in a certain place, but really it's the money that talks. I mean, coming from commercial real estate world, you understand that. And I'm not saying you don't want anyone running roughshod over your town, but I really, it's disappointing to me a little, because when I look at that area, I saw the building, and I have a propensity to like new shiny buildings, where I know some people don't like those in the middle. I dealt with it in New London as the state rep on that side, and people are not happy with the building that's in the middle of that town right now. But I just think, hopefully people take a step and realize when there's property or there's opportunity that we really should maybe slow down and really try to find out about it. It is.
They're priced too high for somebody to come in and fix them up and flip them.
Yeah.
And to come in and fix it up for a home, it's not a desirable area really. It was in the past, but it isn't now.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take a while, I think, to do anything with those properties.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And then I touched base on this last month quickly, but the corporate housing, there was a special on 60 Minutes, and corporations are aggressively buying single family homes now, aggressively, to a point where they're going to own trillions of dollars in real estate. And yeah, I'm almost thinking that, and legislatively, maybe town by town, or maybe the state does it, but just limit the size of corporations that can buy single family homes. It's yeah. And then that's only one of them. There's yeah. But it's a great investment for a big corporation. They're seeing it. They never looked at a single family home as a good investment, but when you own 150,000 of them, it becomes this, this great investment. What it does do is seal out a lot of the next generation from buying homes. Yeah.
And it really isn't about the business, it's about, the money invested and how much money you can make. So that's the problem.
Yeah.
In terms of the industry, so I'm interested in the industry itself.
And we can actually look to other states where it's already happened. In Florida, there's whole neighborhoods that were bought up, and it's just the second they come on, they're buying them, and then they just rent them, and that's with their full intention to keep them for 100 years in a portfolio and not. So it's making neighborhoods different, and I really it's really concerning to me. It hasn't happened up here yet, but you can already see the interest in the market is because of EB and how many people want to move here. And it's actually drawn a lot of attention, and you can actually see the corporations coming this way too. So just
Well-
something to keep in mind.
Well, they're squeezing the middle class, so they're sort of pushing that spread, and now it's just basically pushing people right out of the market in terms of the ability to just buy a normal home that was 400, now it's 1.5 million.
Yep.
And of course, then all the private equity money and the big corporations buying up all the properties. And again, they're paying cash, so there's no debt. It's
Yep.
an easy sale.
If I might mention, Zillow did that and lost their shirt. So there's got to be something differently that they're doing now. I'm sure that they were aware of that, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Because they were buying all over the country.
Yeah.
Single family homes.
Yep.
So never know.
No. Any other business?
I have two. One is related to the housing discussion. And actually, when I'm done, George has his hand up.
Yep.
We are experiencing in the town more and more fair rent complaints. There's a fair rent commission, and there aren't hard and fast rules as to what is an appropriate rent increase. But the Fair Rent Commission's purpose is to evaluate complaints when a tenant believes that their rent is going to be increased beyond a reasonable amount within a short period of time. And the volume of complaints that we've experienced over the past few months definitely is sizable and has trended up. At the same time, we're learning of properties that are being bought up, multifamily properties, and some of the existing tenants are being evicted. Now, that practice has gone on for many, many years. Maybe someone buys the property, they want to fix it up, and then they'll lease up again. Well, there's a high likelihood these days, though, with the rent prices that are escalating as quickly as they are, that those tenants will never come back to that particular property, and there's no supply, there's no inventory of units, certainly at the price that they were accustomed to paying. So those individuals that are being evicted, they might be forced out of town in today's market in order to try to find housing. Where I'm going with this is we're seeing these indicators, whether it's complaints that go to the Fair Rent Commission or examples of properties being sold and people being evicted, that all is paralleling what we've been discussing for a long time. We have high demand and short supply. And I think I've mentioned over the past couple meetings that our demand, our market demand as found in our recent studies is now 6,400 units, 6,400 units between now and 2030. And I think it's starting to really hit home everybody. If they're a governmental decision maker, board and commission member, the general public, property owners, tenants, businesses, small businesses, it's impacting everyone, the fact that we don't have enough housing. And I think getting more projects online so we can push back with an increased supply is the only answer. That's our former school properties. That's also private sector properties. As many units as we can get online, that's going to be it's our best edge, or hedge, I should say, to combating the price increase, the spike that is occurring. We're down to less than 2% vacancy in all of our housing stock. So you can just imagine what that's doing to the market. So that was one comment I wanted to make. The second one's a little simpler.
Yep.
I know that Robert Boris has spoken with Megan Granado. She is our sustainability and resiliency manager for the town of Groton. Top professional, super nice person. And she was invited to the next meeting, so she'll be coming before the EDC. She was at the Realtor meeting that we had a couple weeks ago, and she wants to talk about the programs that she is unveiling, and it crosses over into small business to some degree, particularly in the Mystic area. She's really focused on the flooding that's been going on and impacting streets and stores and buildings. And she has some resources that she's trying to bring to bear, mainly information, I think, but that's better than what we've done in the past. But I'll let her speak to that. Just anticipate she'll be here as a guest at the next meeting. Thank you.
Awesome.
Is she from the area or is she new to the area and just came to the position?
She's been with the town now, I believe over a year. She came from Maryland, but she was born and raised in Connecticut.
Did she come for the position or she just came up here and then found the job? Do you know?
No, she actually worked, I think she worked for the state of Maryland doing a similar capacity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know George also has a
Yep.
question.
Thank you. Just to following, I suppose we're at the end of the meeting. So I just wanted to add on, I'd like to thank Jake for setting up the LinkedIn website, connectivity and all that. I believe long time ago, we did have a LinkedIn account. Maybe Dame Aubrey can remember when that was and what that was. I think it was anyway, but that's a good idea to reboot again. And secondly, I wonder this community investment fund and the other fund information that you shared, Paige, could be posted on our Groton EDC webpage that Jake created so that it gets a little bit more traction and awareness publicly. That's number one. Number two, to your office page, if we can send out to all businesses that you already have in file on email that we have a LinkedIn page that they could subscribe to or register on or become a member of. And that way would boost numbers of members on our LinkedIn page, besides Joe De La Cruz. And I don't know what our newest member would think. Does he have a LinkedIn page or not?
I think you created a LinkedIn page.
He's talking about Jaden.
Oh, David.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Oh, yeah.
I believe we have, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Jake or Joe?
Not you, Joe. I'd never forget that.
I don't know that we've met.
I don't think I know.
We haven't really formally, but I was just wondering, you have taken on the outreach program, I believe?
Yes, I am the outreach committee chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to offer my assistance if I can,
I will take it.
and I'd like you to think about maybe, everybody will be going boo, but that's all right. I'd like to bring back the white lights of Groton. We used to have white lights for Christmas. And all the stores put white lights around their stores, decorated any way they wanted, but we had the continuity of the white lights, and it was wonderful. And I would be more than willing to go to businesses with a letter introducing the EDC and the fact that we're reaching out to them to possibly do that for their businesses if they can. And it's a good way to meet them, and it's a good way to show them we're doing something that's small but important to their businesses.
Mhm.
Because last Christmas, our town looked dismal.
they had one business that had it. It wasn't consistent though. I noticed last year or so that they're not
Yeah.
showing it. I don't know why.
You know, and if we get in, we get enough interest, we could probably purchase lights at a better price. You know, there's other
Yeah.
things we could do, but it's.
You buy them in July, they're like $1
Right.
thing anyway, so yeah, it's
Yeah,
totally
it's the
fine.
same, the
But
uniform.
I thought it might be a nice way to step in. I'm happy to work with you on it or anything else that you have in mind. That's just a suggestion.
Great. Thank you.
I don't know why they aren't all here. They don't show them on. So
I think most of them took them down.
Yeah, they put 'em up for Christmas.
You know, we pushed it forward.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
And I've been saying this a lot to people out and about. If you know anyone who has actual open housing anywhere, I know there's a pretty large land and unit holder that sold a lot of properties recently. It's been on Facebook a lot. There's like 25 families that are going to be having to move out within the next month. They have been on month-to-month leases, and they knew the building was being sold, but it was sold recently, and they're all going to be looking for a place at the same time. That's 25 families, which is very difficult. We just talked about the lack of housing that we have in Groton. So I'm just, if you're listening to this out there, or if any of you guys know of homes that are for rent or rooms, or I think they're gonna have to. I can't imagine filling 25 spots this quick. Yeah,
They got school kids though? I mean,
that's the problem. They have school kids. These are young
Yeah.
families. And for the most part, it was in one section of town, and it's basically one entire road. And I don't know if they're gonna come in and just redo all the houses. I don't know what the plan is, but it's in the Pequannon Bridge neighborhood.
Okay, is that the
It's-
area they took all the trees down and everything?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I
Yep.
saw that.
And I've just been seeing it on
What was
Facebook.
going
I don't
on.
have any information other than
Okay,
everyone got I think 25 families got notices that they have to move out in 30 days.
and they all have families? I mean. they're
I don't
just
think if every single
couples?
one is a family, but the way it was described is a lot of them are young families.
Okay,
It's a more affordable area of town. It's usually have kids in it, but so I'm thinking, like any parent probably would, is you're gonna want to stay in the town and keep your kid in school at least for the rest of the year. I would imagine at this point. But it's gonna be
Yeah.
very difficult to
Yeah.
do. So, and so the reason I'm saying is I know Leanne knows everybody in town, and so just keep that in mind. If we know anyone that has apartments or. That's what I think too,
and
but
then the new school year in the fall, they just look at other options in terms of,
Yeah.
schools and communities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nice communities around, but I think it's the same problem everywhere.
we see them through Facebook. We're letting the mayor knows about it, and they're trying to see if there's any funds and assistance that they can offer, but actually this is a problem that existed on the other side of the state for the last 10 years. Like, it's very common where they buy these buildings, and it's new to us and it sounds horrific, but it's something that's been happening across the country everywhere. But that's what's really, it's a red flag for me. There's a lot of things that are happening. It seems to go like coming at once too, so it is. Yeah,
It's affecting other people, positive some people, negative others.
yeah. So,
I can't help myself. It's the lack of inventory that's driving that price though.
yeah,
Like I had to buy a car about a year ago and I drove onto the lot and a couple of the lots, they said, we don't have any.
mhm.
And then one of the lots said, it's your lucky day. You won't have to pay over MSRP. And I was just kind of blown away by that. It's no different than housing. And when now the cars are coming back onto the lots, the prices are going down, right? So it's the same thing with housing. If we find a way to, I'm not saying we're ever going to get 6,400 units, but if we could bridge that gap, it'll keep the prices at bay, and it'll probably deter the people swooping in trying to make a quick buck and buying these properties. But we have to increase that inventory.
I agree.
I think I'm going to do a little commercial. At the last opportunity with the council to speak, and I will be back again next month. no, it was, it was the councilman. We had a lot of people that came from Mystic. And all I asked of people is when somebody comes out and they're in opposition of a project, could some of the people that are in favor of it come to the meetings? Because all we're hearing is the negative. We need to hear some positive. You know, we have an opportunity that we could do a very nice, small build out over there and put everything into it that you'd like to have, but we can't even get to it because I understand their concerns, but they raise up before they even know what's the possibilities.
You
That-
need both points of views, basically.
Yeah,
I agree. There never is.
so they gotta come out. They gotta come out.
All right. Nothing else? Any motion to adjourn? Second,
motion.
anyone?
Sure, second.
Second by Jake. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
All right, that ends the meeting.
Good
Thank you,
meeting.
George.
Good meeting, Joe.
thank you. Good night.
Thanks.
So many cards.
6:18.